So I'm making this video today. This is about flyback transformers. I have like a CRT TV. They use them also in like those plasma globes. Those old projection screen TVs, things like that. What I was curious about, I couldn't really find much in forums or online searching. It seemed to me that the frequency would somewhat determine the voltage you get out. So I just decided to do a little experiment. And I haven't made a driver for this yet. I had a CFL board hooked to it for a driver. That seemed to work, but I want to do something a little more custom, I think. But I have to figure out how to do that. But anyways, I got a little neon bulb there. And it's hooked to my meter. It's not putting out like thousands of volts, because I'm just running this off a function generator. And there's my meter. Here's a signal generator. What I wanted to do, that's all the way down because that's my amplitude, frequency there, different ranges. I'm going to start out probably on the slow range and then work up. Doesn't seem to matter what kind of waveform you put into here. I'm going to go with a square wave because it's my understanding that these things are more like a switching mode type thing than like a pure sine wave, so I'm going to probably go with that. So I'm going to turn this thing on. The amplitude's way down, so it's not going to do anything. But let's start low. See what happens. I doubt we'll get anything out of this, but I'm going to turn up the amplitude. Okay, that's meter's not doing anything. So I'll swing over as soon as I see something start. Doesn't seem that's enough frequency for it. And that's amplitude's all the way up, so I'm going to dial that back, turn the frequency down. Let's go there. Turn that up to about 3/4 probably. That does not seem to be enough frequency either. So back down. I'll turn that back down. Go to kilohertz range. This should get closer anyway. So I'll turn that back up a little bit. 3/4. And we should see something here. Probably see something around a kilohertz, I would guess. There we go, now you can see everything. Okay, 1 kilohertz, not enough. And, oh, okay, so I gotta have the amplitude fairly far up to get anything. So there's the light. That's at a kilohertz. And this is on the 100 volt DC range. It looks like we're reading about that's claiming 15 volts. I don't know if that's right. It's probably more like 40-ish. But let's go back over here. And I'm going to turn this down again. switch that over. We're about where we left off. I didn't change the amplitude, I guess. I'll turn that down a tad. And you can see the voltage increasing there. One thing I have noticed though, if that neon light's not working, it seems like it behaves a little differently as far as voltage, and when it like cuts out, certain frequencies will like keep going up, up, up. Then once you go past a certain point, it saturates, I think, then it goes way back down. But if that bulb is on there and the bulb is ignited, it behaves quite somewhat differently. It'll even go up to like I put it up here in like the megahertz range, and it would go normally like stalled in like 60 kilohertz. But there it can probably go up to like 67 kilohertz maybe. So let's keep going. Okay, that's at about 11, 12 kilohertz. And we're probably a few times the voltage there. So I'm going to turn that down again. Going to 100 kilohertz range. So right now we're at 6. So I'm kind of backstepped a little bit. We're at about 10.6 there. And it keeps going higher. Probably at about 60 volts. At 24 kilohertz. That's about what I've heard these things running is about 25 kilohertz. But let's keep going. It keeps climbing at about 40 kilohertz. That's about 80. And without that bulb ignited, if I turn the amplitude down, it seems like around 60 kilohertz like stalls. That bulb or maybe a CRT would normally act like a capacitor and filter that. So that might be why this is helping, or it might just be a loading issue. Or maybe some diode in there too But with this, you can max out at 115 kilohertz. I'm going to try and go back to around 60, 55 kilohertz. Somewhere in there. And I'm going to turn the amplitude down till that light goes out. Okay. Now I'm going to try and use my fine adjustment. And we're going to try and go up to 60 hertz. Actually, I'm going to go down first. Gotta give that a little more closer. Okay, so we're near 60 kilohertz. And I'm going to go. Oh, there you go. See, it's going back down again. So somewhere around 60 kilohertz, you start losing voltage. That's without the load on it. But now if I light it up, I can go max this out again up to 100 kilohertz. So now I'm going to turn that down a little bit, and we're going to go into the higher frequency range. So It started, that's about 100 there where we left off. Turn the amplitude back up. And that's kind of what we saw before. But if I turn the amplitude too high there, we lose again. And then we lose again there. So this looks like around 150, 160 kilohertz. It starts to have issues again. But I was just curious about that because I was kind of wondering if this could have any kind of a driver circuit that would have like an adjustable voltage output. And I think that's possible now. When it makes sense, just like a dimmer switch, you're going to put different frequency into it, and you're going to get higher or lower voltage out of it depending on the frequency you put into it. Although if the frequency is too much, it's going to saturate and you're going to have that loss type thing where, like I showed. And it's kind of a mess, but that's what I discovered, and I finally had a chance and figured out how to test that theory. You couldn't find anything in line on forums about that. People were just making their own basic drivers with feedback loops and stuff on the transformer, things like that. I think I'd rather have something that's a little variable and controlled, so I'll have to figure out some kind of an oscillator circuit or some kind of thing like that to make a driver for this. But hopefully that'll help somebody else or satisfy somebody's curiosity. And just FYI, these things are pretty dangerous especially if you're putting higher voltage into them. That can put out like 25,000 volts. I was putting like 15 volts into it, so I was probably getting out at less than 100, I'm guessing. So just be careful with these things if you're messing with these. Know what you're doing, and I like people mess with this stuff. Just do it carefully and be responsible. And your mileage may vary with these. I'm still learning about them, but I just want to learn about the frequency part right now. So just be careful with these things. I don't want somebody to get hurt because they're messing around with this and I encourage it or something. But have fun, be safe.